What's going on, guys? It's Dan here. Welcome to the, latest DanQ review. It's been a long time since I've done one. What is it? I don't even remember what the last game I reviewed in terms of, all I can say is it's been a while. Basically, I'm behind on my reviews. It's been so damn busy this month. It's been the busiest it's ever been in this entire YouTube career of mine, and I'm slowly catching up. So today we are reviewing two games, Assassin's Creed 3 and WWE 13. Yes, I know, they released on October 30th and today is November 27th. But understand, lots of stuff in that time frame. So you'll have to forgive me for being just about a month late with this review. But I'm catching up with all my reviews and I promise I'll get them out. I promise I'm doing them. Just gotta let me catch up to them, alright? So, first game on the lineup. Let us start with, I'll put one of these down. Sorry, just a second. Still see me okay? Alright. Alright, first game on the lineup we'll start off with is Assassin's Creed 3 on Xbox 360 here. Alright, let's do our summary before we jump into this game. Assassin's Creed 3 is available on Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PC, and as well, lately being added, the Wii U. Being so late with this review, I have the ability to say it's available for the Wii U. Alright, it is a action-adventure title, open-world stealth game. It is developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft. Alright, so, put this guy down. Alright, so Assassin's Creed 3, what can I say about it? This set of reviews, I'm going to be kind of brief just because I want to get through this. I apologize. I'm going to give you the skinny, what I think of it. But it's not going to be as in-depth. My reviews have to be shortened. So I always say that, ends up going on forever. But anyway, Assassin's Creed 3. The past few Assassin's Creed games, especially Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Revelations exclusively, have been kind of tiring, you know. Brotherhood wasn't so bad, but Revelations was just like, oh my god, just end it. Because that was the third title we played, it's Ezio Auditore, and we're honestly we're tired of playing the same guy. And in Revelations, he was, 50-some years old, like 54, 55, which is just ridiculous. And, you know, we wanted somebody new, which we got that. This game, we play as, a guy named Connor. However, his real name is actually Rahona, I can't remember. He's a Native American guy, and he's actually half Native American, half English. And it's really interesting how it comes about that he is of this bloodline, considering this game takes place during the Revolutionary War, where there was the British occupation in the United States, you know, United States trying to gain independence, basically. And I'm obviously not going to spoil any plot lines, that's going to be kind of pointless, but I can explain the whole fact that they brought in this new character. He was interesting, he was unique. You would never have thought there to be a Native American assassin. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, it doesn't, because most of the time, when you think Native American, usually, they're very respectful of the land. They're very respectful of what the gods have given them, etc., etc., the spirits, and him having to kill these people, but he has just cause for doing it. That's the difference here, because the Templars are at large as well, since this is the most recent time frame for any of the Assassin's Creed games. Okay, let's talk about gameplay and gameplay mechanics. They introduced a lot of new gameplay mechanics, as well as a whole new feel of gameplay. With the most Assassin's Creed, you're given something, they all felt the same, all the way, basically from Assassin's Creed 2 up to Assassin's Creed Revelations. So you have yourself 3 games in there. Is that 3 games? Yeah. 3 games that followed the exact same control scheme. Assassin's Creed 2, I'm not dissing it because it was new back then, but as the games got on, they got the same, right? So basically, this game is not so much oriented around the same stature. What I mean is, yes, the gameplay mechanics are the same, but the fighting scenes are way more brutal. They're like way more interactive. They seem more realistic to me. the combos are easier to pull out than they used to be. I know they weren't all that hard anyway, but the new, what I mean is they give you more flow. The flow behind the combat in this game is really good and simple to use, and you can get right into it and start just kicking ass the whole way through the game. There's also a whole, okay, obviously the whole parkour free-running element reprises its role once again. However, they introduced a new mechanic involving trees, where basically you can climb from tree to tree in various shapes, climb the tree, jump from tree. It's really neat because despite past games, really the only open world game was Assassin's Creed, like the very first one. And what do I mean by that? Well, Assassin's Creed 1 had flow to it, you know what I mean? You could ride everywhere you would go. So for example, you start off in Jerusalem. Let's just say you're in Jerusalem. You could then take the trails and have like kind of a backcountry. And then follow this backcountry where there's a bunch of waypoints, things of that nature, and basically go to the next city. Once Assassin's Creed 2 came around, they pretty much got rid of that whole middle feature, where they basically gave you, what am I trying to say here? They give you just a means of fast travel, which is pretty much, you take a ship. There's no in-between. You just go city to city to city. There's no in-between areas to explore. Same thing when you're playing as Ezio Auditore for the whole time. They brought that back for this. They even have a gigantic forest section where it's basically the reservation. Well, not the reservation. I shouldn't say that because that didn't happen yet. But it's basically Connor's village with his people, and the surroundings. There's wildlife. There's animals. There's like bears and things, which brings up a whole new element as well, which is the hunting aspect. And you can hunt and use those, like whatever you've hunted, the meat that you skin or whatever, you can sell for money down the road, which is really pretty interesting. So that was kind of a neat factor, and it was another way of honing your skills of trapping and things like that. It was kind of like a practice session, but you also got rewards for practicing. You know what I mean? Basically, though, it brings this new mechanic. Like there's dual wielding in it. There's grasped improvements to the whole feel of the gameplay. I at least noticed. How there are still merchants, there are still side missions, there's still things like this. However, you're not at all obligated to do them. Yes, you can do them and get experience, or you can get you can get money from it or special items, whatever. But there's no given time where you actually have to do them, because in the other games you had to do them to get certain items or certain robes or certain places to unlock. You can unlock them at your own time. So for people who don't want to spend their time grinding on side missions, this game doesn't make you do that. You can enjoy a really, really good, and I'm going to say this now, a really amazing story with huge twists and turns, especially at the beginning. At the end of the prologue, I like to say, is when you don't even play as Connor to start. You play as someone completely different. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil that, but it's a crazy situation where you just realize, damn, that's insane, that's clever. And this is one of those games where it really made you feel. Like some of your targets in this, it was personal. And honest to God, I felt like the targets in this game pissed me off to the point that they were insulting me, and I had to take them out because I knew these bastards, I just felt the urge to really want to take them out in a certain way. I just didn't want to go up and blast them, but I wanted to have justice, poetic justice in a way, and, kill them silently with whatever means necessary. So they bring that back. It does feel very comfortable if you've played Assassin's Creed before, so you're fine in that manner. But it just feels more polished. The gameplay is way more polished, way easier to do, and the storyline is brilliant. Amazing. Love the story. It was good length. I can't really say how long. I think the story was probably about 9-10 hours, something along those lines. I'm not 100% sure, because I did a few side missions, but mainly it was me all just doing main missions. So it was probably about 40, half an hour. Yeah, I'd say about 10 hours long. So that's 10-12 hours, somewhere in there. But you can get way more content done if you want to do these side missions. So in terms of replay value, you're getting a good deal here because you're playing a lot. There's a lot to do and a lot to see. So in terms of replay value in the single player, you're getting your money's worth, and it's really enjoyable. That's what I felt about the single player. Really polished, excellent story, solid gameplay, brand new mechanics bring a lot, and the new environments. It's all an excellent experience, which I think everyone, if you love your single player, take this and try it out if you haven't already. It's a great deal, and it's worth the money, and I feel you're going to like it. Okay? Let's move on to multiplayer, which is what Ubisoft has brought in, I believe, in Assassin's Creed, was it Brotherhood that did it? Yeah, because I don't think Brotherhood brought in multiplayer. Basically, yes, it's different. It's new characters of a different era, new game modes, although there are some that are still there that people love, things like that. But to be honest, I was bored stiff of the multiplayer. Not because it's bad, but because it feels exactly the same, just with new characters and new abilities, okay? Now, I'm not dissing the multiplayer. If you guys love that sort of thing, you love the multiplayer, you just love playing it. You still play like various Assassin's Creed multiplayers today, and it just basically gives you a chance to try a new environment with new styles. That's great. You're going to love it, obviously. But me, after not even really liking the multiplayer to begin with, like I did when I played it in Brotherhood, I thought it was really interesting how they worked that out. As poor as I was, as bad as I was at the multiplayer, I still had a good time. But this multiplayer was just basically the same thing. I'm like, this is just getting ridiculous. There's nothing really new here in terms of maps and levels and objectives. It just feels the same. Well, I had fun. I got irritated with it easy. And I just wanted to pass it up, you know what I mean? And I was just ready to be done. So, unfortunately, the multiplayer for me just doesn't really cut it. But I don't really look at the multiplayer as warrant to give this game a bad review. Honest to God, I think the multiplayer is something that they put in there as well. Because you could have this as a standalone single-player game, and you'd probably get the same review you'd get from me. The fact that you have extra content, once you've done everything to do in single-player, you can do multiplayer if you really want to. So the amount of content in here is great. It's jam-packed with content for a $60 title. Mostly Assassin's Creed games start wearing down, just like Revelations was kind of poor. Brotherhood was different, but at the same time, it was just advancing on Ezio again. Revelations probably was the biggest flop out of all the games, and I'm sure a lot of you would agree with me on that. But Assassin's Creed, fresh, new, I like it. So, I'm going to rate Assassin's Creed 3. I'm kind of up in the air, but because of the content and the value of the single player, I don't like to count the multiplayer because I don't really like the multiplayer. You get a well enough experience on your own with single player, so therefore, Assassin's Creed 3 gets an 8 out of 10 from me. A really solid title. I think you're going to like it. The storyline especially, the new gameplay mechanics. You're all going to have a lot of fun with it if you like your Assassin's Creeds. Okay? Multiplayer-wise, not my thing, but you guys know me. I've never really been a multiplayer guy. I've done it. Certain multiplayer, I've really liked, but this feels exactly the same as Revelations and Brotherhood. So I'm sorry. That's just my thoughts on it, okay? So that's it for Assassin's Creed 3. Really solid title. I do recommend you guys check that one out. Okay, on to our next game, which I was super excited for being a fan. WWE 13. Alright, so let's do in the summary right now. WWE 13 is available on Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and Nintendo Wii, not Wii U, the original Wii. It is a professional wrestling game, of course. It's developed by Ukes and published by THQ. Okay, we're done with that. Alright, so WWE 13. Yes, I watch wrestling, for those who ask me. Yes, I do. I'm more in it for the storylines as opposed to the actual wrestling. However, I do love certain matches. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are a few that are really stale and drawn out, and you just wish. What I do is I have basically my Raws and SmackDowns, and even when I watch the pay-per-views, I have them saved so that I watch them later. You know what I mean? So I can fast forward through the matches I don't really care about, and there's quite a few of those. But regardless, I love the sport itself. I love certain matches. Like I said, I like the actual physical aspect of the wrestling. It's really entertaining to me. So, having played WWE 12 last year, which was overly hyped in my opinion, felt really, they're like, oh, the best game ever. I've played games from N64, what was it? oh my God, there was one WWE title. It was actually called WWF, what is it? There was a few that were so amazing. WWF SmackDown, I think. The very first one where they were branching out, that was amazing. There was one that was so good, I can't think of it, but it was on N64, came out around 99 era, 98, something like that. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. No Mercy, WWF No Mercy, that was the game. That was bar none one of the best WWE games I've ever played. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked here. Having played WWE 12 and all this hype it got, I felt like it was way restricted compared to what you could do back in the older games. Even with WWE, where they did the SmackDown vs. Raw games, 07, 08, 09, and so on and so forth. Those three titles, 07, 09, I never played 10 or 11, but 07 and 09 I felt were really interactive and they had a good story. And things like that. There were a lot of moves and things like that you could do. WWE 12 was very restricted, story mode wasn't that great, etc., 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 etc. Now WWE 13, the thing is with sports games and whatnot, the gameplay doesn't really change that much. Yes, they'll introduce a new feature, but it really feels the same. Believe it or not, they changed quite a few things in WWE 13 for the better. Yes, the gameplay is similar, the graphics are similar. I'm not going to rate this game based on the graphics and how they feel like that. I'm going to rate this game based on how much fun I really had with it and how easy it was to play, etc., etc. How much fun it really was. Okay, now, in terms of, let's start out with what I started out with. I played creations mode first. Basically, I created everything under the sun, from a superstar, an arena, a moveset, an entrance, pretty much any type of a logo, just about any kind of creations I did it first because I love that. I love creating stuff. Now, people were really getting mad at me because I was doing creations before gameplay. It was so funny. I've seen a batch of newborn babies who cried less than these people did. It was hilarious. But anyway, a lot to create. There's so much to choose from. And not only that, but what you're given is just default. You then unlock stuff as you play through the main modes. So there's really limitless when it comes to creations. It took me, I don't know how many parts just to create all the stuff I did. It was ridiculous. Now, I would like to go into gameplay though. The gameplay feels way better than WWE 12. The WWE 12 was nice, it was a nice upgrade, but it felt kind of loosey-goosey, you know what I mean? So they polished it. They made reversals more understandable and easier to do, and I got pretty decent at my reversals, and eventually it became like clockwork, and I was just, reversing up the ass. And the moves and the functionality, let's look at something here. They have a new sequence called the Oh My God moments. Now, if you remember last year, while you did have environmental areas, it was very restricted from what you used to be able to do. Now you're actually given environmental areas where you can, actually have a sequence. You have to have a finisher saved up. For example, in the corner barricade, you have a finisher. You do an Oh My God moment. He spears him right through the barricade. The epicosity behind it is ridiculous. Or if you put him on the announcer's table, you do an Oh My God moment. He'll go all the way to the top and jump, or do his signature move. Sorry, he'll do his finisher move on him on the table. But you can also climb up to the corner like you've always been able to, jump off from the rope and land on the announcer table. It's crazy, okay? Just like the various types of matches you can do. I was so happy when they had Hell in a Cell. They basically, because of the main story mode, they had abilities and maneuvers that you could do in regular matches, and you could apply it. In my WWE Universe mode, which was basically a customized story, season, general GM mode, if you will, where you get to choose your matches, who's in them, what they are, what titles are up for grabs, etc. And you could tweak it however you wanted to. In that match, I remember doing Hell in a Cell pay-per-view with my created wrestler against John Cena for the WWE title. And I did everything under the sun that you could possibly do to a man in a Hell in a Cell. Brutal, threw him through the cell, make the wall fall down. Throw him into one of the tables, climb the top, jump from the top and land on him from the top. Throw him off the top and into the table. Powerbomb him from the top of the cell. Give him a flippin' stunner in the center of the cell, on the top of the cell, and him falling through the cell. it was just so crazy. All the things you could do, the environmental moves are so much better in this than last year's game. And I had so much fun playing these type of games. I gotta tell you, I really did. Alright, that's the gameplay. Really solid gameplay, improved. Feels kind of like if you play WWE 12, it's not much of a stretch. So you'll be able to jump right in and just, you'll be even better at it just for playing WWE 12. Now, let's talk about the story mode. This was probably one of the coolest ideas I've ever seen in a WWE game. Most of the time with these WWE games, they give you a fictional story. It's all kayfabe, you know. It's made specifically for the video game, depending on what type of wrestler you play as. And this one, well, last year they made a series where you did you played as 3 different guys: the villain, the outsider, and the hero. And the villain at the time being Sheamus, the outsider at the time being Triple H, and the hero being a created wrestler, which was known as Jacob Cass. Really interesting storyline, but it was not much customization. You didn't feel it, you know. You didn't really feel there. It just felt basic. You know what I mean? This game introduced what you call, I don't know if you could see, it's actually not posted on here. I'm surprised, but anyway. This game has the mode known as WWE Attitude Era mode. Now, Attitude Era mode is exactly what you think it is. All these amazing matches that brought up the Attitude Era, that made WWE as big as it was, and basically take the ratings away from WCW, because the Monday Night Wars were at that. WWE was actually at the bottom, and not at the bottom, but they were actually below WCW's ratings for entertainment. Now, the Attitude Era saved that. My favorite era. I'll bet you just about every single person who's a WWE fan's favorite era is definitely the Attitude Era. That's when they got rid of PG and brought in 14A. There was cursing. There was like middle fingers being flown. There was so hardcore matches. I get excited just thinking about it. I feel like I want to go watch classic matches from the Attitude Era. Because myself, I was born in 91, okay? I'm 21 years old now. Growing up in the 90s gives you some of the best experiences. Now, I think when I first started watching wrestling, I was probably about 5 years old in 96. Now, I know that's young, but I watched it with my dad on and off. I remember seeing Undertaker, and, when he was classic Undertaker, I remember seeing that. As very hard as it was for me to understand, I remember it. I was really infatuated with it. And as the years got on, I got older and I got to appreciate it more. Especially when I was watching in like 98, 99. Because that's when all my favorite wrestlers now are really in it. Like The Rock, Stone Cold. Who else was there? There were so many, like DX, like Triple H. Although I was more of a fan, believe it or not, my buddy and I, in like 99, 2000 era, my friend and I were really huge fans of Too Cool. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was Scotty 2 Hotty and Grandmaster Sexay, and then Rikishi would be in there too. We just would imitate them, we danced like them. It was just, we loved that kind of stuff. But the fact we had our favorite superstars of all time from that era, you grow up with these things and you love them. Now I'm getting sidetracked with this reminiscing crap, but what they did, they took classic matches that everyone remembers, and they let you play in them. And you could just straight up win the match or lose the match or whatever the case would be. But there are bonus objectives that are basically like true I guess historic, I think they're called historical moments. Basically where in that particular match, one particular event happens. Like, let's think of an example here. For example, I remember playing as Billy Gunn. And I can't remember who was facing. It was, I can't remember. But basically what you had to do for authenticity was get your partner to distract the ref, outside hit Buddy with the title, and come back in and finish the match. Little things like that. In a Hell in a Cell match or whatever, a cage match. Don't use any finishers or whatever actually happened in that event. You actually had to perform and you got bonuses and you unlocked things like rings and bonus matches and characters and outfits, title belts, things like that. It was one of the most entertaining WWE video game story modes I've ever played. Because I felt like I was reliving a childhood, you know what I mean? It was just unbelievable, except I was controlling it. So one of the best story modes I've ever played, WWE Attitude Mode. Now, Era Mode, sorry, Attitude Era Mode. Now, some of you younger people may not think the same way because you weren't very familiar with the Attitude Era. But myself being at this peak era, where that was when I was really watching it hardcore, because I watched it hardcore probably from 98 to 2004. I started fading out in 2004, so 2003 I'd say. Basically when The Rock left is when I stopped watching, and that was 04. So, I remember watching Brock Lesnar and all that coming in 2003, 04, that era. But anyway, that's a lot of years of wrestling. And, you know, it was just too good. Okay, I'm sorry. Being at this era, growing up with it, you love it. I loved it. Amazing. If you guys want a great experience, you watch the Attitude Era, you love it. You're gonna love this mode. Trust me. Okay, I pretty much just came all over this mode. But anyways, let's talk about the WWE Universe mode. If you didn't get enough fill on the Attitude Era mode, which actually is pretty lengthy, I think it's about 8 hours, 9 hours long, something along those lines, depending how much you do. And there's also extras matches as well, which aren't story driven to the Attitude Era storyline, but they're in the Attitude Era and they weren't as huge. But the same idea, you know, specific things you had to do in each match. Anyway, WWE Universe mode. I don't really want to get into this one too much because it's basically the same thing as last year's, nothing different. You have the ability to use more creative stuff in it, like more arenas. You can change the pay-per-view names, but I'm pretty sure you can do that in the last one. I didn't really advance on that. I did something similar in this one where I played as my created superstar and just went through it and won matches, won titles, was just a boss, you know, just dominating. Played a year of it. I was done. WWE Universe, it's good if you love your customization and you love using your customization in kind of a story, a mini story. It's more advanced, like you're actually given options to do things. Like hell, let's look at an example. Say some guy wants to shake hands. You can either tell your guy, there's an option, it's like a drop down box. You can shake hands, knock them out, or just walk away. And you know, different things to change the course of these little mini stories. So it is more interactive, but it's very similar. Okay, let's go on to multiplayer. Now multiplayer is really fun, okay, I'm not gonna lie. It's really great playing with real people and seeing what kind of like finishers they can come up with the creative finishers. Some of them are crazy. How good people are, you know, etc., etc. Because playing as against a bot isn't as satisfying. You know, winning against a bot isn't that satisfying as winning against a real person. Because bots are mainly programmed to not necessarily always win, depending on the situation. So you're given a challenge online. Like, let's look at an example. There were a lot of different like tornado tag team matches that I did, and you know what, I did them. They were a lot of fun, but I want to go. I enjoyed them. Yes, I enjoyed them, but I'm gonna go. The problem with them, I feel like I want to generalize this in the end here, so I'm gonna skip that. But I got into a singles match, the first singles match ever. It was my created wrestler against this guy's created wrestler. It was a great match. It was best 2 out of 3 falls. We were both reversing each other's moves constantly. We were getting good finishers on each other, etc., etc. You know, we were doing great moves. I would be getting him, I would be dominating him, and then he'd be dominating me, and then we'd be alternating. It was a really solid match. Like, honest to God, I thought it was one of the best matches I've played in a while. Because it was a real person with a similar or, you know, slightly better skill level than me. That way, you know, it was a challenge, a real challenge. And when I was reversing a real person like this, there was good connection, solid. It was perfect. It was skill versus skill, basically. Great match. Loved it. He won. I was not upset. I was like, that was a great match. He earned it. He did a good job. What happens? You get a message from these little bitches and they whine. Even when they win. You're a spammer. Nice try. Like, come on. Like, that was one of the things I noticed so much about multiplayer. The people who play whine and cry and bitch, and it was ridiculous. Like, I don't want to say that's not the game's fault. I'm just making a comment on it. It was hard to play the multiplayer because everyone was crying. Like, let's look at one of the later matches. I was doing a mixed tag team match where it was this guy and his buddy who both picked the 2 male characters where they were their customs, and then 2 other people joined. I was one of the other ones. I would play a diva. I played as Lita, and the other person played as their other female custom wrestler. It was cool and all, but I made a mistake, and I thought my character tagged in when Buddy tagged. So basically what happened, the other guy's opponent tagged in his friend, right? I thought it tagged me in at the same time. So I just run in and go beat the shit out of him, right? I beat the shit out of them, and all of a sudden we get disqualified, right? I was like, oops, my bad. They don't kick you to the main lobby. They let you redo it. And I'm like, my bad. I end up getting a message from this guy in the most serious tone ever. Okay, are you going to play this game or what? Like, honest to God, like, give me a break. It's a game. Like these people cry and whine and bitch, and it's just, I'm just trying to have a good time, and these people just try to kill it because they take it so seriously, and they can't have fun. They can't have the nice competition. So that was kind of annoying about it, the fact that I had to deal with all these stupid idiot losers who just do nothing but, okay, reversal, beat the shit out of you, 1, 2, 3, yeah! You know, like every time. Oh my God, it's just like trash talk. I don't know why people have to be such assholes to each other. But anyway, while it was fun, like, I gotta mention something, like I said, just like last year, lag. Oh my God, they don't know how to program the netcode in these WWE games. Because the delay, when it's delayed, because you'll be, what? Reversing, but all the moves are, you'll be hitting a button, or so let's say you're punching. You hit the button. Now it comes out, right? It's so delayed, it's so hard to wrestle, you know what I mean? And you're trying to have fun, but it's hard to get into a solid quality match. Like, let's look at one example where I had, was really kind of not the best lag. Like, it would pause, the game would pause every 5 seconds for a brief while trying to reconnect to the host. And then eventually we get lag, reversals were delayed, things like that. It was a 6-man Money in the Bank ladder match. What do you expect? Like, what is it? 35 minutes later, I come out the victor. Like, even though the lag was horrible, that's one of the most satisfying feelings. So to sum up multiplayer, it's great in the fact there's a lot of different variety out there. Like, some of these people are really creative with their wrestlers and their moves, and you're actually facing a real person, making it more entertaining because you're actually, you know, got a real challenge in front of you. And not just that, but, you know, it's just the whole experience is awesome. You're like, you know, fans trying to play. But at the same time, they're crying like crazy. Like, I'm not putting that as a negative for the game, but I'm just saying, you can have fun. It's best to play with your friends. Honest to God, it really is. That way you don't have to deal with these whiny bitches. Because there's a lot of them. Like, I think there are like 4 or 5 different occasions where they'd be whining and crying and things like that. Or trolling inside the match, you know, like where one guy would take the ladder all the way up the ramp just so you had to go up the ramp just to try and win the match, right? Things like that. Terrible netcode, that sort of thing. So multiplayer is good, but the netcode is bad, and the people on it are just pathetic. Not everybody, I'm generalizing, but you know what I mean. So let's look at this and review it. Let's give it a score. WWE 13, one of the amazing single-player adventures. You're gonna love the Attitude Era. You have a lot of content, a lot of creative modes, a lot of creative that implements itself into different modes. Like the WWE Universe mode or story mode, create a story mode. And you got your multiplayer, which is fun, but there are like nicks in the road, like the bad netcode and the whiny people and things like that. However, I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and I could see myself playing this a lot with friends if I still did that. But you know what I mean? If you have a group of buddies, this is a great game to play. Wrestling games are always so much fun to play with a big group of people. So I did enjoy it. Because the single player was so fun to me, I'm going to rate this game an 8 out of 10 as well, just like Assassin's Creed. Great game. I do recommend you pick this up if you're a wrestling fan. If you're not, I would still give it a try because it is entertaining. Because I remember I picked up I can't even remember the name of the show. For N64, a super fun game. But the thing was like a small-time wrestling game. Like a small-time wrestling show. It was there in the 90s, but it was crap. Like, no one watched it. So it was fun, like things like that. I wasn't even a fan of that, and I still liked it. So you can get my meaning. But anyways, that's it for this DanQ review of Assassin's Creed 3 and WWE 13. Lot of great games. Both get 8 out of 10 from me. Lots more reviews to come. Just wrapping up the gameplay footage that I'm catching up on. So thanks guys for watching this review. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more gameplay to come, and we'll see you next time.